Her older daughter is autistic, and it sort of starts. Well, the plot starts proper with the older daughter sort of leaving the hotel.
It sounded like you were going to go into a rap there. The plot starts proper with the... Oh, then you didn't.
What happens is the mum goes back down to the wedding, leaves her 2 daughters in the hotel room. Younger daughter falls asleep. Older daughter sort of wanders out. Does she lose her little police thing?
Yes. It's actually a police car, but she calls it a cat.
Yeah. There's been a murder in the list with... she's a TV personality.
TV chef.
TV chef.
Yes, TV chef.
And some sort of... He's an unknown, this murderer. We don't know much about him to begin with.
I know a little more from watching the second episode,
but
yes.
in episodes, at the time of the murder,
we know
he's
now.
just a stranger in black.
In paradise.
He's living in a caravan in the woods.
And then what happens is the daughter witnesses the murder, and then she almost steps in front of a truck, is rescued by the murderer, who tells her to be quiet, and then they go home, and during various parts of the episode, you get the impression that she wants to sort of reveal it and keeps saying little things, and then you get other little characters from the side. There's like a vicar who's married to Wallander, and there's a family who are actually there when the truck comes out in the middle of the road. There's another family there, and they come into it later on as well, don't they? They're at the church service.
Yeah, they're part of the community, but they're not really much. They're just there.
You get the impression that they will be characters because you see them at Christmas. He's now with another man. That's very straight. You get these characters again, like most Scandinavians. You get a group of characters you're not quite sure.
Yeah, it's that kind of how do they know each other?
What their place is in the story yet. The end of Ep 1 is that the vicar gets murdered by the same guy who murdered the TV chef. One of the things that I thought about while watching this, and you two already have quite sort of strong feelings on this, is how well do you think sort of they portrayed autism through the character of Stina, I think the daughter's name was.
Stina.
Yeah, and,
I didn't...
and do you think they used it as a sort of gimmicky plot device rather than... being a sort of character trait and a realistic sort of
you first, Luke.
Representation.
Well, the thing is, I think because autism is something we've seen a lot on screen, we hear a lot about, we see a lot on screen. I think this would have worked just as well if she was a really young child.
If it's the younger daughter,
yeah,
the younger daughter,
and that's a fair point.
She was just scared stiff and just couldn't. I don't think the autism played it. I don't think they used it in a gimmick as much as they kept playing off it. But I don't think it added anything to at least this first episode.
I think Luke makes a good point. You could easily have done this based on what I've seen so far with a younger child. So I can't deny that as a fact. But I think one of the things that I would say is that they might do more with it, because obviously the thing is that she doesn't talk much.
No.
They've made out that they haven't said in every episode or every scene that she's autistic. Her grandmother makes a comment, in the first episode, there wasn't any point in buying her a nice dress because she puts on this kind of Washington Redskins American football jersey, which she seems to wear all the time, over her wedding bridesmaid dress.
I found this a very, very easy watch.
Yeah, me too.
There were times I was quite into it. I loved all the stuff where she's in the street, and I loved all the tension there. I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere massive because we were only 20 minutes into the show.
Well, that's right.
But I did really enjoy it. Now, whether it's up, the problem is with any Nordic noir, you go, is it a trap? Is it a bridge? Is it a killing? What it isn't is follow the money, which is a good thing. I didn't like that at all.
Or Blue Eyes, or whatever.
What it isn't is anything from the Walter Presents genre. I haven't liked any of those. But I don't...
Did you not like Deutschland 83?
Oh, I did like that. That was the first one on telly, but all the other ones I've tried online I didn't like. But whether I want to watch... Because there's 8, isn't there, I think?
Yeah. There is.
So and traditionally BBC 4 play 2 a night. Whether I want to watch the others, I can't decide, to be honest with you.
I think, like Matt, that I will, because the fact that it ties in with the time of year.
I didn't say I would.
No, sorry, I'm agreeing with the fact that the timing of the show is good, because it's talking about Christmas and we're kind of... I think I will stick with it. I'm enjoying episode 2 as we're talking.
I suppose it's a bit like someone in Nordic Noir land being given the missing and hoping that every UK show they get is The Missing, and then they get given Vera or something, and they go, hang on.
I don't know. As you say,
quite.
it's got a lot. It's got a lot to live up to with the big three.
The characters need more fleshing out. I think you
Yes.
haven't got a Saga Norren or a Sarah Lund or a Andre. You know, you haven't. They feel like but they feel like sort of plot. They all feel like plot devices at the moment, rather than any.
The character that I like the most is the police officer. The divorced police officer who's
got a bit of a thing for the main character.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a thing for her, and you know, he's
one of my favourite things about the genre is that thing that you spoke about earlier, where people are on screen. You haven't got a clue who they are, why they're there.
Yeah,
but you just know that they'll be tied in and brought in and being made more of a focus.
Remember from the first series of The Bridge, there was the brilliant one where the woman, you know, they closed the bridge. And the woman's like, I'm in this ambulance, I've got to get through. And they ended up letting her through. Now, you had no idea. You just thought that was a throwaway. And then later on, very crucial to the ongoing plot.
Yeah.
You know, it's
so
that
Matt,
kind of thing.
Where do you sit then, Matt? I mean, there's a lot on, so does this even
I'm going
factor in?
to certainly watch the second episode, and then I'll make a decision either way.
Yeah. I think
it hasn't grabbed me as much as Trapped. When I saw Trapped, I was like, I'm going to watch all of this. And when I
think because it lacked the depth.
Yeah, that's what I mean in terms of the characters.
In terms of watching a drama for an hour, it was really easy going.
Well, the other thing I would say
44
is that
minutes.
It's one of the things is it's not an hour, which is quite good. It feels more like an ITV or American drama because it's that kind of 40.
Well, it doesn't feel like an ITV drama.
No, the
don't
time.
Put it off even more.
The time of it, not the feel of it.
It was probably on a channel with ads. Mystery solved.
Gary, do you want to talk about Life on a Psych Ward?
What this is a Channel 4 fly-on-the-wall documentary, the things that they do very well. One of the key things is it's a forensic psychiatric ward. This is not a... And the word normal psychiatric ward is probably wrong, but...
the psychiatric ward that we would picture...
Correct.
Knowing what those terms
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that sort of thing.
This is actually a forensic psychiatric ward. These are people who are mentally unwell enough to spend time in prison. They have committed crimes, but they are mentally unwell. So I've actually worked in the building, which is called River House. It's a full security building. Even though I was only working in administration, I still would have to be background checked. I had to wear keys with me every day. I had to wear my ID badge. I had to wait to get out of the building like everybody else. They followed the lives of a few of the patients, as some of them were getting the opportunity to go back into the community and out to the outside world. You know, they talked about the fact that actually prison, you have a term and you fulfill it. Inside a forensic psychiatric ward, you could well be there for life, because you may not recover to the point where...
Did Louis Theroux do something about forensic?
I believe he did. I didn't see it, so I can't comment. I followed along on Twitter with the hashtag just to see what other people put in, because obviously having worked there, I've got a bit of insight to the people. I know the team leader that they were following very well. I sent her a text
by reason of insanity.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well done.
It wasn't the same... It was more of a sort of state psychiatric hospital.
Yes.
The three key things that people disagreed with, number one was the naming of the show, because they felt like saying inside a psych ward, this isn't a psych ward, a typical psych ward. They felt that was misleading.
I think they've done that a lot of times, haven't they?
They didn't like the fact that the opening part suggested that the first patient had personality disorder, and then there were a lot of people on Twitter saying, well, I've got a personality disorder, but I've never killed anybody. And I think, again, they're taking the wrong element of the show. They're not saying everybody with personality disorder has killed somebody, but this person has. They kind of missed the point a bit. And then the third point that I think a lot of people picked up on was these people were getting the opportunity to go into the community as part of their recovery. And it's not to say that each of these people will be released back into the community. If these people are considered free of their mental health, they may still have prison sentences for their crimes. And I don't think the show quite covered that. A lot of the patients don't just go out back to their life. They still have a crime to pay for.
We did a lot of podcasts a few years ago where we'd say, oh, Channel 4 were particularly bad at giving titles to shows that did them no service. We had a lot of people think The Undateables is the wrong title.
That's
and
what
then
I was
Total
thinking
Recall and all those things. And I don't think this was a case of a wrong title, because I don't know what you'd call this, but I am glad they've sort of moved away from that era of... I mean, how could they have given this a more apt title,
Well,
suppose,
I
because I have
think
to admit, I've got it on record, and listening to you speak, it isn't the show I thought it was.
No,
but I don't know
not
what
quite.
else you could...
It does sound very similar to that Louis Theroux thing in the.
It does,
yeah. And it is very similar to the style of Bedlam that was on. You know,
yeah,
not just.
I was going to say I love that. I didn't. You can't love something like that, but I found
No,
it
and
thoroughly
I
fascinating.
think the difference with Bedlam is that they told more of the personal story.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, they're talking about the situation more, you know, the crime, the rehab. The only thing a lot of people on Twitter were saying, and again, it's mostly people who were facing mental health problems themselves, or those that work in mental health, were saying it should have just been called Life on a Forensic Psych Ward.
Yeah, but
Because
in
the
fairness
title-
to Channel 4, I don't know whether I would know
don't
what one of
agree with
those
them.
is.
Yeah.
I don't agree with them. I think if you watch the show, they're very clear that this is a
But is
special
this
ward.
like people who've been by reason of insanity, like the Louis Theroux thing? Is that what they're there for?
Yeah, yes,
So
absolutely.
they could have related it to that, like he did in his.
Yeah,
thing.
I suppose so. But again,
I think you're just boiling it down to its basic thing.
Basic form.
In mental health, they don't use the word insanity anymore so
No.
much. Whereas I think it is very much still an American phrase.
Channel 4 do these sort of documentaries better than most as well. And they've got less time to tell a compelling story, and they always manage to do it. So I will be watching it. But it's interesting because that title does conjure up certain images, whether they're wrong or right. And it's interesting.
You'd be thinking of you'd be getting like a sort of "Don't call me crazy" that sort of thing. Like
That sort of that, yes.
Yeah.
But as you say, I don't know what they'd call it. Otherwise.
No, I think, as I say, I was just reporting what I saw the majority of. I didn't necessarily feel that I think those people were missing the point.
Just quickly, I had an email this week telling me what was coming on in January on ITV this January, February, March.
Go for it.
And there's not they're factual stuff, but you'll be very pleased to know that
Sugar-Free
Farm is back.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah.
Gemma Collins is on it this year.
I didn't know. But you know, when you talk about great factual stuff, all they've got is Sugar-Free Farm, what happened next in Long Lost Family, and a 2-part thing where Trevor McDonald meets mafia women. And
I quite enjoyed Sugar-Free Farm the first time round, but I think it's going to be now Gemma Collins is on it. It's going to be a bit more sort of just her, isn't it?
Well, also, as I remember it, the people on Sugar-Free Farm previously were larger, whereas we haven't got that many large.
Yeah, because we
on.
had last time we had Jennifer Ellison, who has got quite big. Mark Lebet from The Chase was on it. Rory McGraw. Jane McDonald, who isn't massive, but she's still.
But we've got on this one, we've got your mate Alison Hammond, who
is big,
who is large, we would admit. Then Peter Davison, him off. I don't.
He's a bit chubby.
You mean what,
chubby?
Doctor Who?
Yeah, Doctor Who. He should be going to
in a few years. I'll be honest.
Chubby Farm, but not Sugar-Free Farm. And Joe Pasquale, who I don't think is that
maybe that's
big.
just to cue the voice.
It's not sort of weight loss farm. It's not about that. It's about cutting sugar from your diet. It's about being more healthy. It's not
if
like
you were ever in doubt whether you were going to watch this or not, Gemma Collins or not, then this will convince you, because alongside all those people I've just mentioned, Anne Widdecombe and Stavros Flatley.
I found it quite interesting about what they could eat and things like that, but I think it was good as just a one-off thing. I think bringing it back again.
As you're saying, it was more trying to be educational than celebrity.
Yeah,
whereas I think maybe with someone like Gemma Collins,
and
you're probably tipping the scales the other way.
Hey, see, that was going to get edited out, and now I can't do that either. Brilliant.
What
Gary.
else is coming up? Luke,
you want to do
ITV?
some coming up? Okay. Well, we know the normal stuff. The Voice is coming.
I've seen the preview of that, or the little.
No mention of when The Voice Kids is coming. They're putting US drama Lethal Weapon on a Friday night at 9 o'clock.
This has caused a few ripples. A, because it's not doing that well in the States.
Endeavour, as we know, is coming back in January, as is Unforgotten.